welcome back to the Just Follow Joy podcast. My name is Ariana Joy, and I'm a human design reader and teacher. And today we have a very special episode because we are talking to my good friend, fellow human design reader and coach, Kelsey Abbott. And we're talking all about the power of divine timing when it comes to our manifestations and bringing us the absolute best version of that thing or opportunity for ourselves. Because something that can happen a lot, and trust me, when I say happen a lot, I do mean in my own personal experience, is that we can be doing everything right. We can be following our designs. We can be doing what feels good. We can be following the principles of manifestation. And the thing just still hasn't shown up for us yet, or not fully in the way that we want. And it's really easy to feel like you're doing something wrong, or maybe this was not meant for you, or maybe it's not coming, or maybe manifestation just doesn't exist at all. When the truth is that sometimes, and people don't like to hear this, but it's true, sometimes it's because the timeline that you expected it to come on is very different from the timeline that the universe knows is going to be the best time to give you that thing. So it's not that you're not meant to have it, and it's not even that it has to be so far off in the distance, and it doesn't mean that it's never coming. It just means right now in this moment, this isn't the right time for you to be having it, for things to work out in the best possible way for you personally. So in this episode, we talk about why that's not just an okay thing, that's actually a really good and beneficial thing for you, why our human design charts can actually influence that, why our astrological charts can actually influence that as well, and then stories from our own lives of why we're really happy that certain manifestations didn't show up before they did, and they didn't show up when we thought we had wanted them to, and instead showed up at the right time. And just some important things to keep in mind if this is a really frustrating experience for you, so you can get through this and know that this is always for you and not against you. And before we dive in, I just want to say real quick, I did make a mistake in this episode. I accidentally said that a lot of people will tell 6-line profiles that their lives don't take off until age 30. What I meant to say is age 50. Neither of those are true, by the way. Like, your life starts when your life starts. You can achieve amazing things at any time or manifest at any time. But that was just a quick little switch I needed to let you know. I meant to say age 50. Also, if you like the Just Follow Joy podcast and you would love to get free human design information and information on your chart on the reg, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below and click the notification bell so you never miss a video. That being said, I'm done. So let's dive in and talk to Kelsey. You know so many people who have your birthday then on October 11th. My mom, also Jess Stansel, has
Oh, that's right. Jess and I talked.
Yeah.
Also Eleanor Roosevelt.
Oh, really?
And I mentioned Luke Perry, and that's when you wanted to hit
That
record.
was funny. We were just talking, and I was like, I'm sorry, I have to start recording now because that was so funny. Luke Perry always makes me think of Clueless. Cher is saving herself for Luke Perry.
Oh, it just makes me think of old school 90210, which existed before you were born, I believe.
If it was before 1995, then yeah,
I don't know.
It was BA before Ariana. Mm-hmm.
Those were rough years.
It was hard. I don't know how you guys made it without me. But speaking of timing, so what I wanted to talk with Kelsey about today was divine timing. Because I think that, did you like my segue by the way?
That was perfect.
Flawless. Because I think that when something isn't happening for us, when we have, first off, when we know something is a true soul desire and it's not happening for us yet, it is so easy to feel like either we got this wrong, it's not for us, or it's our fault because we're the creators of reality, which is true. But then thus it should be happening already, right? When actually that's not the case. We can say that from a general manifestation standpoint. We can say that from a human design standpoint. And I actually want to bring this in a little bit at the end, Kelsey. We can say that from an astrological standpoint as well.
Why are we going to wait till the end?
We can talk about it now, but it's not, I mean, I think it would be a cool thing to kind of like add into it. I don't know. Okay. We can talk about it now.
Well, I want to know what you have to say about it.
Okay, well then here we
go. You know, I don't like teasers.
That's right. You hate
give it all to me right now.
Yeah, Kelsey's like, just literally tell me now. I have been looking at my astrological chart more and more, and it's really been something that's fascinating me. This is, thanks to my friends like Caitlin Gehring, who's our like resident astrologer on this podcast, and then also my friend Angela, who's a great astrologer. But I am a Capricorn rising, and also my North Node and my Sun are like cusp ninth and 10th house. And the 10th house is ruled by Capricorn as well, which means it's ruled by the planet of Saturn. And I'm ruled by Saturn, which all means that for me, a lot of my success, and this has been something that's really opened up my eyes and really helped me embrace where I am and have compassion for myself in my journey with my career, which has always been a very important thing for me, is that this stuff is going to happen probably later in my life. And it's going to take a while. It's going to be probably not these giant, like, Aries or Sagittarius steps of like, bah, here we go, and like sudden, growth at the beginning of your journey. It's going to be more slow and steady to the point where it builds up and snowballs through these smaller or gradual steps and, hard work and taking time to let this stuff mature and come to be later, which can be annoying to hear. And there are some people who would feel like that is, I don't want to, I was about to say a doomsday, sort of restrictive. And I'm like, ugh, I'll never achieve anything until I'm older. But for me, when I heard that, I was like, oh, thank fucking God. Like, I don't feel so pressured to have it all done right now, which is something that I've always had because I put a lot of pressure on myself. Kelsey knows this. Like, I expect so much of myself in every single moment to have it like all done and be faster and go faster and have it now. But learning this part of my astrology chart, which by the way is why I think it's so great to not just know human design as a system, but understand other systems, is that it has really allowed me to ease into my own process and take my time and know that if I'm not an overnight success story, that doesn't mean I won't be a success story, you know? So that's been something that's really, really helped me.
Did you know I have 0 Capricorn on my chart?
That does not surprise me in any
That was
capacity.
so freeing to learn.
And Kelsey, one place that we are different in terms of timing too is the fact that I have like no 6 line energy in my chart, and you have a lot of 6 line energy. And I would love to hear how that has been for you in terms of timing, because I don't want to tell people who have 6 lines that they won't achieve anything until they're after the age of 30. There are some people who say that, which is just not true. But for a lot of 6 lines, things will come together for them later in life because it takes time for them to process their 3 line adventures and experiments. So can you speak on that?
Yeah, I can. I believe I can. So I didn't learn human design until I was in my 30s. So I didn't know so the 6 line, the first 30 years of your life, it's a 3. So it's learning through personal experience. And because I didn't know that that's what I was doing at that time in my life, I never felt like I was like trying and failing. I just felt like I was like, oh, not this, not this, not this. Cool. I think being an MG really helped with that. Like, it just was natural for me to bounce from thing to thing to thing to thing. And then it's been the between 30 and my mid 40s where I am now, that's like, oh, I'm seeing this, like, as other people are seeing that authority figure in me, but still not necessarily being seen, because that's what happens. Like between 30 and 50, we fall into our role model role, but it's after 50 that we're seen. If you have a 6 line in your profile, this awkward time between 30 and 50 is the time, like, you're going through your own transformations at this point. Just keep doing it. Just like, you don't have any other choice. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. And then, as the whole like cultural commentary about 50 is like the end, and then there's like the menopause conversation and
Might
all
as well
that.
die.
Yeah, let's just screw all that and say, hell yeah, I have a 6 line. Life is going to be so amazing from 50 on. And I'm so excited to see what that looks like and feels like.
Yeah. You know who I would not be surprised if she was some kind of 6 line is Laura Belgray, because she has a whole article about how she didn't make her first million until she was 50 and how she's so glad that that was the case for her. And I know that it's hard for me not to talk about business because so much of, like, when you look again, if you look at my astrological chart, like, all my stuff is packed like right at the top. Caitlin was like, girl, what do you not have in the 10th and ninth house? Like, seriously. And the 10th house is all about career, and it's all about like your visual image and like success and fame in that capacity. So I do talk about that a lot, but what Kelsey and I are talking about, this can be applied to so many different things that you want to manifest and have, to your soul desires, whether that is, a lot of 4/6s, for example, they're looking for the soulmate version of everything, including like in relationships. And Kelsey met her
Or
husband,
homes.
or homes, just like the highest perfected version of a lot of different things. But I know that I'm just using relationships because to me it looks so far away from career, so I just want to say that it
Hmm.
can be used in anything. It's also like one thing that I'm trying to say, like this can happen later in life too. And like it's not uncommon for 6 lines to be like, once they hit 50, this is when I find my soulmate, or this is when my career really comes to fruition in a way that I just didn't before.
Yeah.
It's because sometimes we need this incubation period. Right now is not always the best time for something to happen, and your body will tell you the right time, and the universe is also going to be telling you the right time by setting things up for you. And sometimes everything you need to come together in the best possible way for you, it's just not happening right now. So, and actually, like, speaking of relationships, I was like on my couch last night, just watching YouTube, and I was just like, when is like my person gonna be here? Like, why is he not here now? Where are you? Why are you like, where are you fucking off to? Like, why are you not just on the couch, like drinking LaCroix with me right now, watching YouTube videos? That'd be so fun. I'd love to hang out with you. And I was like, literally, what if, I know this sounds kind of bad, but I'm like, what if my soulmate's married to someone else right now? And like their marriage has yet to fall apart. I can't date him now. Like, what if like the perfect person for me is going through a really hard time or is not in the place for it? What if I'm straight up, let's forget about him. What if I'm not in the right place,
So
Yeah.
I have something to add for that.
Yeah.
So I met Pete when I was 21, he was 22. If we had met earlier, we may not have even been friends. Like, have been friends. Excuse my English there. He wore headgear to school.
Oh, Pete.
He's like, I went to an all boys school. I didn't care. I wanted to wear it as like as short an amount of time as possible. So he asked the orthodontist if he could wear it all day. That's awesome.
That is
And
awesome.
may not have been friends. Not
Also,
just because he was wearing headgear. I am not that judgy.
no, of course not. But yeah, all of this is to say that, the way that things are coming together, it's just, first off, we're not always going to see it happening. It could be happening under the surface. Second, it's not always better for it to be happening now, which is why when people say like, why not now? I'm like, I'll tell you why not now. Of course, I am somebody who, Kelsey and I both have parts in our charts where we really have to feel the fear and do it anyway. So like when we get intuitive hits or it's time for us to do something, like it's just going to come with instinctual fear and we have to get through it. So you have to know if it's that or if it's just not the right time for you to do something. But the universe has a better calendar than we do. It's more accurate. It updates more often. Like, I don't know if this happens to anybody else, but my freaking iCalendar, it won't coordinate my phone and my computer. And so sometimes I'm like, I swear to God, I put this on my phone, but it's not on my computer. Guess what? In the cosmic world, that happens automatically in the universe. Happens before you even know it. All of your iCalendar events are coordinated perfectly and will unfold for you perfectly, even if it doesn't make sense to your mind. And I'll admit, like, I'm saying this, but I always say things that I need to hear. This is still something that I struggle with all the time, and something that Kelsey's really helped me with, which is why I wanted to have her on the podcast, because it's just, and this happens a lot with my business. I'm like, why am I not exactly where I want to be yet? This must be my fault. Like, it has to be my fault. I am the ultimate decider of this. And again, like, she's shaking her head. And again, like when it comes to manifestation, yes, like we're in control of certain things and of our mindset, and we do project our outer reality based on that. There are ways to release resistance, to have things come faster to us. And so it can be stressful sometimes to be like, well, is it that I'm doing something wrong, or is it that this isn't supposed to happen yet? But if you release the resistance and you are in, I mean, Kelsey, I'd love to hear your opinion on this, but in my opinion, if you're in that state of the least resistance possible, like everything is working on your behalf already. It just might not look the way that you think it should, which is where astrology and human design and numerology and just the idea of manifestation in general, I think can be so helpful, because what our mind thinks we should do or is the best time for something could be wildly different than what our bodies, our true desires, or the universe is telling us right for us. And so I say, release what you think you should be doing right now and just kind of trust. It's not always the easiest thing, but it's helped me.
I'm with you 100%. And I feel it like this conversation right now is also just reminding me how grateful I am to have emotional authority, because it has guided me on the perfect timing to do things so many times, the big things. We actually are waiting. I'm just like bringing in some real life examples for a second. I reached out over the weekend. I reached out to an astrocartographer because I don't even know if we've talked about my desire to move on this podcast, but I want to move. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Kelsey really wants to move.
I really want to move. And that actually got bigger through my emotional authority over the weekend. So I got a nudge to look into this astrocartographer that I worked with when we first moved here. So just probably like 6 years ago. And he had said, I read the email again. He was like, you have no energy in Sarasota, Florida, which is where I live. And at the time I was like, okay, cool. No big deal, right? No energy. So there's no negative energy. Well, now that I know what it feels like to live someplace where there's no energy, I'd like to leave, please. And I'd like to know where there is good energy. So I reached out to them, I think last Friday, and I heard back Sunday. I haven't heard anything since. I'm like, okay, trust the divine timing. Just trust like a mofo. Don't force this.
Kelsey's emotional authority is really a great example, because, even if it looks like things are coming together on the outside, like you need it to come together on the inside to find that clarity. And the only way to do that is a wait, unfortunately, sometimes. But, when it does come through, it's like, there you go. And there's the answer. And I've trusted and I waited, and here it is. And it could be unexpected. It could be not when you expect, and it could be not what you expect. But if you're following your body, it will take you the right way. And it's also why it's so cool to see these things unfold when you just kind of like trust that your design's taking you in the correct direction, because it could be, Kelsey loves being surprised. So like, it could be very surprising and like very enjoyable and amazing. When you release the timeline around it, when you release your expectations of the way it's going to look. And that we say that a lot for like releasing expectations for generators and reflectors, but it's the case for everybody, right? Like this is an overarching thing.
I mean, as you were talking, I was just thinking about when we got Zumi, our puppy. So I had been feeling, it was early December, I started feeling all these puppy vibes. I started feeling like puppy's coming, and I went and looked on Pet Finder, which I'm not supposed to do because Kelsey will adopt all the dogs. But I was like, I can do this, and none of these are ours. Okay. And then I would see like signs from the universe, not literal signs for puppies, although I did see those too. And I got to the point where I think our oven broke. So we were going to Lowe's like at night. And I was so sure someone was going to be there to give us a puppy. I was so excited to go to Lowe's, and I was like, we're going to get a puppy. Didn't happen that night, but like, I think it was less than a week later, we got a text from our vet saying her dog was pregnant and there were 3 puppies and the third one was ours. This is how it happens. You're going to start feeling like, when you start feeling from your body that something is coming, your head's going to want to do all the things to like make it happen. But if you just let your head, like give your head some yarn to play with, just let it like butts around in something, but don't commit to anything. And then the universe is going to deliver the perfect thing at the perfect time.
Yeah. It's funny. I'm the same way I want a dog so badly. It's so funny to me when I pet people's dogs and I'm like clearly so into petting their dog, and I'm like, oh, I love you. And I look like kind of sad, but happy. Like I desire to own this dog. And someone asks me, oh, do you have a dog? I'm like, sir, you should be able to tell that I do not. Like, I would not be holding on with such desperation to your pet if I had my own. I would appreciate your dog. But yeah, I want my own dog, but I know that now isn't the right time to have it. So like I'm aware of that, and our desires can like kind of come in and speak to us ahead of time, but it doesn't necessarily mean that right now is like the time we have to act on it. So like I know I want a dog, but if someone was just like if someone came up to me as a generator, gave me something to respond to by saying, "Do you want a dog right now or do you want a pet right now?" My body would say no, because I know my body knows that's
Yeah.
not the right time. I know in my heart I have the desire ultimately for it, but I know, but my body is helping me manifest that in the right way by not saying yes to the wrong thing at the wrong time. So it's like, instead of me being like, oh my god, I really want a weenie dog, I'm just gonna go get a weenie dog right now. I in my heart of hearts, I know that that's not like, this isn't the right time for me. If it was presented to me, I'd be like, I want one, but I don't feel it, and I'm going to let it come together exactly how it should be. Also, I think it's really funny that how did you expect when you went to Lowe's that did you think that someone was going to be outside like with a box of puppies and be like, here you go, Kelsey?
I really pictured it like at the entrance.
Okay. Like they're just giving them out for free. They're
I don't know, like someone was just going to hand it to us, to me.
You're walking down, you're like walking down the lumber aisle and someone just
No, it
passes
wasn't
you really
in the
quickly and
store.
hands the puppy
It
off
was
to you.
outside of the store. But I have a funny story to share with you that has nothing to do with human design, but it's quick.
Okay.
I was out doing some feng shui stuff in the yard, as I do, and this guy walked by with this dog that I hadn't seen before, and I was of course talking to the dog, and I was like, "Oh, are you new here?" And the guy got all flustered, and he was like, we don't come down that often." And then and then I think he realized that I was talking about his dog. He's like, "He's 7 months." And I'm like, "Okay." And it wasn't until afterwards I'm like, "Oh, how awkward. He thought I was talking to him. Why would I talk to him? It was his puppy."
What a creep. Oh my God. You talk to the dog, you're like, do you know him? Do you need to get to the safe
Yeah.
place?
Do you need help?
Do you need help?
We've got food and treats.
Oh my God. But yeah, so I guess, I mean, to wrap this up, like I would really love to just like say one more thing, which is, I think probably coming from how I approach this sort of stuff, which is like, I tend to blame myself a lot when the perfect thing isn't lining up. And for so long, I was really someone who, and this is so funny because I was very out of alignment with my design. So this is not how I'm designed to look at things from like really any systems perspective. But I was so stuck in like, what is directly in front of me? What makes sense on this like concrete physical plane? And really didn't take into account that there could be things that I don't see, that are affecting this kind of thing. And also from a vibrational standpoint, like guilt and stressing out about things and putting pressure on myself and blaming myself was not making these things come faster. It was not helping it. So if you are somebody who right now, you feel guilty or bad about that, I just want to tell you, it might not be your fault. That's okay. And like, honestly, this might sound a little rough, but even if it is your fault, like giving yourself more shit is not going to help. My friend Darcy once said, like, there are enough people in this world who are going to give you shit. Why would you do that to yourself?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was really, really true. On the other hand, if you're just impatient, know that this is all for you. It is. And also, the less that you like push and feel like you're spinning your wheels and feel in that point of being like stuck and frustrated, it's possible that the stuff will happen even faster. And if it doesn't happen faster, at least the journey will be more enjoyable. You'll get more stuff along the way, and there will be other fun results that come from this, things that you might not have even realized would happen, things that actually help you manifest other stuff you've been looking for. So you never know.
And the journey to get that thing is always the point.
Mm.
It's the journey that's supposed to be so much fun, that's going to lead us to so many things along the way, that once that thing comes, it's like, oh my God, this is amazing. Then you're starting a journey towards something else too. It's the journey that's the point.
How very
We
6'9"
all
of you.
forget. I know. Can't help it. Wisdom just pours out of me.
It does. What can I say? Spewing out of my pores. Kelsey, this has been so much fun. And I know we're going to have more stuff to talk about. Also, everyone, if you don't know, Kelsey has her own podcast. It's called the Find Your Awesome Podcast, and it is amazing. So, and she also does transit updates for human design, which I do not do. I don't have the energy for that right now. Kelsey does, and it's super sparkly. So, definitely go check it out. But
Thank you.
of course, you rock, my friend.
I love you.
Everyone listening, you rock, and I will talk to you next time.